Saturday. I realized I hadn't done an update since I think day 14 of the no booze experiment. And so I just got done with a crap ton of work. I haven't had a work day like that. Like where I just work for like 4 hours straight in a really long time. Actually, my focus has been better. And so that's a benefit I didn't list in the description of this video, but I really feel like I've been able to work for longer periods. I've been more motivated. Like I have actually wanted to work. I can get up in the morning and like tell myself I'm going to crush it instead of like dreading what I have to do. But ultimately, this is the best I've felt in a really long time. I've had more energy. I finally feel like I'm getting somewhere in terms of getting fitter and healthier. And I feel a little bit silly because I should have done this so much sooner. I feel like alcohol has been this thing for me that it just wasn't an option because it's so social. It's so something that my family does when we're together and something that I had just grown accustomed to doing. It was a habit, and I didn't even recognize the many ways that it was stalling my progress in so many areas of my life. And Facebook deleted my first video where I announced to the world that I was going to do this experiment. But the one reason I started it is because I recognized that I had anxiety, around stopping drinking alcohol. I thought, and that's why I wanted to start. I was like, I hated that I thought I couldn't do it, or that I was afraid to try it, or that it would be too hard. And I thought about all the times in my past that I almost didn't do something because I thought it was too hard, like starting a blog, writing an ebook, creating an online course. And if I had let the whole it's too hard thing stop me, who knows where I'd be right now? I wouldn't be right here talking to you in this beautiful office that I still can't believe is mine. So just because something is hard, that's the reason that we should do it. We don't do it because it's easy. And so that's why I started the no booze experiment to begin with. But I had a hunch. I also had it started with because I had a hunch that good things would happen. And so it was out of curiosity that I tried it. And I was right. I just had to get myself to do it, to prove it to myself. I'm at the lowest level of anxiety that I've been in a long time. And my previous videos, which you can go back and watch on my timeline that didn't get deleted by Facebook for some weird reason, you can listen to me talk about CBD. I use oil in the morning, but I use this little guy during the day when I need it. Whenever I'm feeling stressed, whenever I'm feeling overwhelmed, whenever I'm feeling irritable or angry, or even when I'm like feeling hungry and like anxiety coming because I'm like, oh, I'm not going to get to eat for a little while, before going to doctor's appointments. I've been to several doctor's appointments in the last several months, dentist appointments, things like that, where I would normally just be like so annoyed that I had to be there, or anxious because I don't like getting blood drawn or whatever. I'm just puffing away at my CBD, and all of a sudden I'm chill. Monday night was in a very tense social situation, and I get social anxiety, meeting new people, things like that. Very, very intense, like the most intense anxiety and nervousness that I had experienced in a very long time. And I was puffing away at this, like I was dying tomorrow or something, like it was my last day on earth. And eventually, it took a lot, eventually I calmed down to the point where I was just so chill. Definitely still a little nervous, but not to the point where like my heart was beating on my chest. But I took myself from heart almost beating on my chest to, maybe a 1 or 2 out of 10 instead of an 11 out of 10. So I know it works. And the only reason I know it works is because there's no high with CBD, even though it's from cannabis. It's not the same as weed that, you heard about growing up. It works when you use it and you're not anxious in a situation that would normally make you nervous. And so when I first started trying it, I was like, I don't know if this works. It was like, I don't feel a high, blah, blah, blah. But it wasn't until I started using it with a purpose, before going into anxiety-inducing situations, like taking my mother-in-law to the airport alone. I just work better when Ben is there. I don't know. Going to doctor's appointments and getting blood drawn. When I'm irritable, when I'm frustrated, when I'm stressed out, when I'm feeling overwhelmed, using it then and just noticing how my body responds and how I come down off of that level of anxiety. So anxiety is lower. Second thing I'm noticing, lower number on the scale. And I'm the first to tell you that I don't give a rat's whatever, I don't give a rat about what the number on the scale says, because it fluctuates so much for so many reasons. But one reason it would fluctuate before was water retention due to being, having alcohol in my system. And when I would be hungover or something, it would make me, I wouldn't be able to get my rings off. I'm actually not wearing my rings right now. Had a manicure recently, but I wouldn't be able to get my wedding ring and my engagement ring off. And it was just not a good situation. I would see, it would be really frustrating to get on the scale, but I've seen numbers go down for the first time in years. And even though I'm not monitoring for that number, it's a clear indicator of seeing it go down below a number I've seen in years that I'm losing some kind of weight. Whether it's fat, I don't know, but I did calculate that I was consuming on average anywhere between 4,000 to 6,000 calories in just alcohol every month, based on an estimate of how many drinks I was having per week. So it adds up fast. And I wasn't a heavy drinker. I never have been, but it was consistent, and just how consistent changes, like doing the plank experiment, 5 minutes of a walk a day over time can add up to a lot, or whatever. Those consistent changes add up. And so the consistent habits, like, drinking a little bit every day or multiple times a week, all that stuff adds up as well. And so if you subtract it, then you're going to see changes that add up as well. So I tend to use measurements more so, and then, how I feel in clothes. And so I'm feeling really good. Actually, you might be able to see, I actually can see definition of my shoulders that I haven't seen in a really long time. So I can flex my muscles. Like, I just feel really good in a tank top. And I feel like, my arms are toned and my waist is slimmer. I measure instead, and also take pictures sometimes, but I measure a lot, and I have like a little basic measuring tape that you can get in a sewing kit, and measure my waist. And it was a lower number than I had seen in years. I think the lowest I'd seen was like 29, and I'm measuring in at a solid 28. I'm not sucking my gut in either. And so I'm seeing that go down as well. And it's so exciting. I actually threw away a cake this week. I made a cake, and it was good, but it wasn't so good that I couldn't throw it away. And so I came home one day, and I was just feeling really good about my progress, and had a great workout that morning. And I was like, you know what? I don't need this cake. And plus, it's easy enough to make. I can make it whenever I want. It was cheap enough to make. It was like a can of beans and a cake mix box. That's all it was. Just a baking experiment that I did. But it just wasn't as good enough to keep it around or give it away. So I threw it in the garbage, and that was a big deal. So I'm finding myself more motivated to keep this going. Not, again, like that I'm never going to drink ever again, but I am without a doubt going to make it through this the last 6 days. Today's day 24. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 full days after today that I'm not going to have a drop of alcohol. And then I have some friends coming over on the 11th that I might decide. It just depends, because I used to drink alcohol to mask my social anxiety. And so I would drink before they'd come over. I'd sometimes get so anxious that I'd get a stomach ache. I don't know if anybody else has ever experienced that, but I would get so anxious before social events that I get a stomach ache, and I haven't experienced that either. And so I'm just going to keep using the CBD, which is, 0 calories and a lot of benefits, as instead of masking the anxiety, it actually takes the anxiety away. And I'm all about that. If you can just get the voices in your head to calm down, instead of just, making it to where you can't hear the voices because you're drinking so much alcohol, then it's so much better. And then you're not taking in all these extra calories. And by the way, that 4,000 to 6,000 calories that I was consuming in alcohol a month doesn't count the poor food choices I would make as a result of the alcohol. And so I'm not surprised, in 30 days, if I drop 1 or 2 pounds, that's 7,000 calories worth of fat. Because 7,000 calories, 3,500 calories makes up a pound. And so, 7,000 calories is 2 pounds. If I lose 2 pounds in a month just by drinking alcohol, if I lose more than that by mixing alcohol, not changing anything else, not increasing my food intake, not drinking my calories in some other way, I'm not surprised that I've experienced some weight loss. I'm not surprised that my body is looking better in the mirror. I'm not surprised that I'm actually able to look at myself in the mirror and compliment myself when I have no clothes on. Like, that's crazy. This is such good stuff. And I expected it, but I didn't expect it at this level. And so I am seeing results and being motivated by the results to keep going. I read somewhere that if you nix alcohol for 30 days, that you're 72% less likely to, or more likely to drink less over the next 6 months. And I think for me, that's probably going to be 80 to 90%. Like, I am going to think about it hard before I drink alcohol, knowing what the consequences are, right? Knowing that I'm not going to think as clear, knowing that I might be depressed as a result. that's the thing, like that first drink tastes really good. It makes you feel great. It makes you forget about all your problems or whatever. And then you're like, okay, let me have another one. And then when that buzz starts wearing off, then you're just like, it slams you back into reality, and it sucks. Like I hate it. I just remember like times where I've been laying on the couch, like Ben was out of town in San Diego for a training event recently. This was, I mean, say recently, it was probably like a month and a half ago at this point, and I was like sad, you know, I was like, I missed him and I didn't want to be home alone. And it was me and Buffett. I'm drinking a margarita or two on the couch alone and just trying to change my mood. And so I've been focused now on finding ways to change my mood that don't involve alcohol. And, you know, CBD helps. I do use THC sometimes, but another thing that I've noticed is that I'm using less THC. Like I'm falling asleep without it tonight, or in the last few nights, actually, just out of curiosity. I'm like, I'm feeling super tired, sleeping better. I'm waking up less to pee during the night, if that makes sense. So I'm staying asleep longer when I fall asleep. I'm finding it easier to wake up in the morning, easier to get out of bed. I'm spending less time lazing around. I'm feeling more awake and rested when I wake up. It's just really been good. So I'm just excited I feel like a new person. I feel like I've lifted this like dirty lens off my eyes and out of my life, and eliminated the thing that was the biggest thing in my life that was keeping me from being who I could be, and keeping me from being motivated, and keeping me from having that drive. And so I encourage you, if you're watching this and you're thinking, shit, I'm just going to let it out. That might be me, whatever word comes out of your mouth, that might be me. I need to do something like this. You know, I want to be an encouragement to you. It doesn't have to be 30 days. For me, that was a lot to bite off and chew, but maybe for 10 days. I think for me, probably by day 11, I already felt better and saw results. Probably even sooner than that, where I was thinking, okay, I can do this, you know, getting through, making those changes, having friends over and making drinks for them, but not making any for myself, overcoming those hurdles, just challenging myself to be really me, really present without the help of alcohol. It's just been super exciting. And I want that for you. So if you're watching this and you're inspired by it, then give it a shot. It's so easy to do. You just don't drink alcohol for a set amount of time. It cannot be easier. Finding alternatives, you know, taking a walk. I like to jump on my trampoline. I do use THC sometimes during the day to kind of just change my mood if I feel like it. You know, like yesterday I used a little bit. It just kind of mellowed me out. But I did jump on my trampoline first, and I said, you know, I'm going to give this a shot and see if I can wake myself up. I still use caffeine, toying with the idea of nixing my caffeine for my next experiment, but this is a big step for me. And so, yeah, I'm super excited. Okay, I think that's it. I don't want to ramble on. So hopefully it was helpful, and I'll see you guys.